Hi there and welcome to the Wednesday drawing show on the Shoe Rainer drawing channel. I'm afraid there's not a lot of drawing today.
What's in the mail? What's in the mail? What's in the mail?
Well, there's nothing in the mail again. You got to send me stuff and I'll put it on the wall of fame. I've had a few emails and tweets and things like that with some artwork to put on my website www.shoerainer.com. I have a digital wall of fame there, so you can go and have a look at that and send me stuff and I'll put it up there. If you've done drawings from my tutorials, it'd be really great to see them and share them with everybody else.
I love getting stuff in the mail.
I just made a video where I cut out a piece of paper with my trusty scalpel here, and I thought I'm going to make a little film explaining about cutting things. Let's talk about scissors first. This here is a really cheap pair of scissors from IKEA. You may call it IKEA. And a good pair of scissors should cut all the way to the end, and this just doesn't. Okay, so but I mean these cost hardly anything, made in China, but they're quite good. You know, just general scissors. And if you're cutting, you know, a long thing, it's good to have a long blade, because it could, you know, you can almost draw with it as you're cutting. These are surgical scissors, which they go nicely right to the end. This is my favourite little pair. I do all my intricate cutting with these. I've had these for about 25 years. I think they were made by Fiskars. It's all worn off, and they just cut beautifully right to the end, and they've just always stayed sharp. I may have sharpened them once or twice. I have this very neat little tool here called a diamond sharpener, and every now and then I might just kind of sharpen it up that little bit, flat on that side. But these are really, really nice. Now here comes the dangerous bit. I'm sure health and safety say I should not be telling you about Swan Morton scalpels. This has a number 10 blade, and the blades come like this, and you know, everyone who works in graphics and things will swear by these, I'm sure. Certainly did. When I was younger, when I first started out, you know, you had to be really, really careful and hold the back of the blade to kind of push it down like that. You don't want to push it with the blade because you'll spoil the sharp point. And these really, really are sharp. These are designed for cutting you open. Okay, that's what they were intended for. These are incredibly sharp, but with all tools, if you treat them with care, they will look after you and they will do you a good job. First of all, you want to cut on one of these kind of mats, and if you can't afford one of those, then maybe you've finished a drawing pad and you're down to this cardboard at the bottom, and you can rip off the cover and you can use that. There is one main rule with cutting out. If your fingers here are behind the blade, you are not going to be able to cut them off. Okay, so my fingers here are off the blade, and I'm going to cut down there. That's lovely. If you're going to cut it freehand, make sure that your fingers are behind the blade while you're holding down the piece of paper. And every time before you start cutting, say to yourself, are my fingers behind the blade? Just make it so that it is a habit and you always think and ask yourself that question. I remember once doing cutting kind of like this, and it was really tough material, and I was holding it like that, and I think you can see actually here, this again is a very old ruler. It was this one here. Can you see? You know those skid marks you see on the motorway where somebody's crashed? Well, it was kind of like that, and I was holding and it came off and straight across my thumb. So this is incredibly dangerous, but it's not if you take care, and I think I was probably in a hurry and not really thinking when I did that. So always keep your fingers behind, and kind of learn how to hold the ruler down so that it's really, really steady. Here I'm kind of holding it, thumb there, little finger here, and pressing down so that it is pretty steady. And the other secret is, I haven't got much left to cut. The other secret, if you've got really tough material, you know, quite thick card or something, don't press really, really hard and try to get through in one go, because that's when you will slip and hurt yourself. If you've got some really thick card, it is best just to do lots and lots of very gentle, thin cuts, and you will get there in the end, and your fingers will still be intact. The handle is a number 3 and this blade is a number 10. When I was younger, when I first went into the sort of graphics business, we used these all the time because we were cutting out the text on pieces of paper and gluing it down and then photographing it. That's all done on computers now, but I still use this every day for sharpening pencils, for cutting paper, for stuff like that. You know, if you're being arty, you're probably cutting all the time, but please, please, please always put your fingers behind the blade and get that ingrained into your head. Now, I had a message this week from Adiola Adio, and she says, I get told quite often by my tutors that I don't push myself. I study level 4 foundation art and design, but I'm not sure what they mean. Well, I think what they're trying to say is, it's very hard to explain. If you want to kind of make it in any creative field, it has to come from you. It has to all come from you. It has to be your passion that drives your career. When you wake up in the morning, there is nobody there telling you, you got to work, you got to do this, you got to do that. It should come completely from you. If you just want a job in the creative fields and have somebody telling you do this, you're going to get bored because they're just going to say, you know, press this button, do that, and that's a boring kind of thing. You're in the creative world, yes, but you're not being creative. If you want to be creative and successful in the creative world, you have to push yourself. Nobody else is going to do it. Your tutors can nag you, they can push you, but you probably kick against them. They can pull their hair out and do whatever they can, but they can't make you be creative. That has to come from you. It has to be a burning passion inside. So how do you get to that stage if you haven't quite lit those fires yet? Well, you say, Adiola, that you want to do fashion design and you want to go to fashion college. So the first thing you want to do is to get a really strong image of that in your head, and anybody else watching, get a really strong image of what you want. You want to, you know, make a comic book, you want to do fantastic paintings, whatever you want to do. Get a really, really strong image of where it is you're going and what it is that you want to be and who you want to be, and get a real physical picture of yourself inside your head, of you in that place. Okay, and that is where you are heading. And then you have to do all the work that is going to get you there. Now, don't be scared of that, because you just do it one day at a time. There's a lot of work to be done, but you just do it one day at a time, and it'll all work out, don't you worry, if you put the work in. So, so then you sit down to do your first piece of work. You're going to research, you're going to plan, you're going to design. And as soon as you hear yourself say, well, that's okay, I've done enough, then you haven't. You haven't done enough at all. That's just the starting point. That's where everybody else gives up, okay? And the thing about you getting there is that you're relying on everybody else giving up. When everybody else is saying the same thing, oh, I've done enough, that's when you do more. You do more research, you read more books, you see more galleries, you do more, you talk to more people, you draw more, you sketch more, you do everything more than anybody else, and don't worry about them calling you a swot or a genius or anything like that. It's your career, it's your life, okay? And it's hard, it's very, very hard, and but you will do an amazing piece of work, and you will feel really proud of that. So the next time, the next project that you work on, it's a little bit easier to get started because you're already up that little bit. And it's a bit like being an athlete who trains and trains and trains. They don't want to get up on Monday morning to go for a 10-mile run, but they do. But each time you do it, it gets that little bit easier, and your knowledge and everything expands. And not only that, this kind of stamina grows as well inside you. And you build and build and build on everything that you learn and everything that you do, until in the end, you don't even have to think about it. It becomes second nature. It becomes part of you, that you push yourself. And you don't even think of it as pushing yourself. And people will not think of you as being pushing yourself. They'll just think, wow, they've got so much energy. That's a really creative person. So I think that's what your tutors maybe mean by pushing yourself, Adiola. And to anybody else that's watching out there, I think maybe that's what your tutors mean too. So good luck. Start pushing yourself. Well, if you're in a mood to push yourself, why not go over and see one of my Euclid videos and learn yourself some geometry. Make sure you're subscribed and maybe even try the mystery drawing. Either way, keep drawing, drawing, drawing. Practice, practice, practice. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.